Okay, so next up was Nintendo. They opened with a couple of really interesting things. Rocket League is coming to Switch.
That makes total logical sense.
Yep.
Yeah, it does. It also, I was talking about this earlier, it feels a bit like they're kind of celebrating coming last place in the race, because if I'm not mistaken, Rocket League is now out for literally everything else.
Yeah, okay.
But they were so happy, like, we're getting Rocket League. How great are we? You're like, yeah, good job, guys.
At least they're getting exclusive hats.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Like having a Mario hat on the car is, actually makes way more, like, a ton of sense.
Having a Mario hat on the car is guaranteeing that I will be attempting to take out your car when I see you on my PC version.
Yes, of course. Because the other big feature announcement that came with that was that we're going to have cross-platform.
Yeah.
All platforms.
Which that's already been something of a thing, right? Because the PS2 version of Rocket League is cross-platform, isn't it?
Yeah, the PS4 and the PC versions talk to each other, I believe. Yeah, so that's a good get, and it makes sense with Nintendo's sort of party mandate for the Switch, or at least the portability party thing. So that was expected, basically, at some point. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in what they'll do price-wise, if it'll be eShop focused, or they'll actually put out a physical version.
Yep.
But the next one is one I care about, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Now, the original Xenoblade Chronicles came out on the Wii, and it was a massive, massive classic JRPG with some slightly MMO-ish, slightly action-oriented combat system. It's still turn-based, but it was kind of semi-turn-based. Yeah. And it was just a feast for classic JRPG fans. What they did with that game was they really scaled down the graphics to make the scale of the world huge.
Yeah.
On a Wii, which was really awesome. So they made the smart call with that hardware. And I know a lot of people who love that game, both its English and Japanese version with the voices. The English voices were all full of really terrible / amazing British accents.
I was going to say, by the way, the two things, one of the big things I took away from this is that whoever Nintendo has got doing its VA stuff needs to stop. They need to change who their VA stuff is.
So I'm okay with this because I kind of expect terrible British accents from Xenoblade, but I agree with you otherwise though. Whoever's doing their English VA direction mainly, like even the voices themselves weren't great, but they weren't.
Yeah, they weren't horrific, but it's the performance which is the thing which the director is responsible for.
Yes, exactly. Like for example in Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Those voices weren't fantastic, but it was really the direction again. Thank God they gave us a Japanese voice patch. Hooray!
Yeah.
So yes, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Make the Japanese voice patch. Make that an option from the beginning, please. Yeah. And I'm definitely looking forward to. It's very explicitly called Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which means more of a return to the original game, and I'm looking forward to that. I didn't have a problem with X, which was the Wii U one. It was incredibly impressive, like scale-wise, like even more so than the first Xenoblade Chronicles. And you had like a mech, and you could fly around and blah blah blah. But it kind of lost the directed story that the first game had.
It felt a lot like an MMO, which to me is not what I really want out of that type of game. Just sort of mundane fetch quests for 60 hours or so.
Exactly.
Not a fan.
So I'm looking forward to this returning to that storyline, that world.
Yeah.
And I just a side note I've put in brackets here. Was it the only JRPG we saw at E3?
Well, when I first seen that note, I was going to point out the Fire Emblem one, but that's not actually a JRPG, is it?
No, it's a Dynasty Warriors.
That's a Dynasty Warriors, isn't it? So yeah, I think this was in fact the only JRPG that was at E3.
All right,
which is exciting for them, sure.
Speaking of which, I don't think that's in this list here, but that did definitely get talked about during Nintendo's stream.
Yeah,
was the Dynasty Warriors Fire Emblem game. It's just called Fire Emblem Warriors. Saw a bunch of characters from Fire Emblem.
Points for creativity on that title, by the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was far more excited for it before I found out that it was a Warriors game.
Oh, buddy! Yeah, I like a war.
I know I do too, but I thought a proper Switch Fire Emblem is going to be pretty great.
Of course.
And then I realized,
we know that's still coming.
Yeah.
There is there is a proper Switch Fire Emblem game in development. But no, I'm like, Dynasty Warriors games are like junk food. They're like, you know, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And they did a good job with Hyrule Warriors, so I'll look forward to seeing what they do with this. I've seen Fate's characters, I've seen Awakening characters, and I've seen some classic Fire Emblem characters, so they're all in there, depending on your preference of Fire Emblem.
So speaking of food...
Yeah.
You see,
yes,
another
good segue.
Another seamless segue. There's a Kirby game coming.
You're getting good at these. It looks a lot like the last Kirby game that came out on the Wii.
It looks a lot like the first Kirby game, because these games do not change, apart from that weird one where you drew things.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, there's two types of Kirby games. You've got the ones that are actually Kirby games, and then you've got like this one and the Dreamland and Kirby's Fun Pack / Superstar on the SNES, and then you've got the weird ones, which are like Canvas Curse and the version, there was the claymation version of Canvas Curse on the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Yarn game, Epic Yarn, which is apparently a really good game. There's just some weird stuff they do. Kirby's Pinball Land. Kirby's in a strange character.
Well, I think
and they take him to.
It's probably to do with I think he's Nintendo sort of. He's popular enough that they can guarantee that his game will sell, but he's also probably the least distinctive of the Nintendo characters, so they can probably afford to throw him into the stranger stuff. It's like it's getting a little bit ahead, but it's the same as like the Yoshi games have a reputation for strange art styles and things like that, so that you can tell that they try that. Each time that they make a Yoshi game, it's partially an excuse to let their art team try a new style.
Yeah, ever since Yoshi's Island, which in itself, even on a SNES game, used a sort of weird, sort of hand-painted pixel art.
Yeah.
It was like, it's hard to describe that style. Ever since then, it feels like that has been the Yoshi game remit, and it's the same with Kirby, and it's a little bit the same with Metroid, but we'll get into that in a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Probably the biggest piece of news, I think, that they announced, well, barring the big one that we're going to get to at the end of this, a new Pokemon is coming.
Mm-hmm.
And it's they explicitly used the language core Pokemon game.
Yes.
So we're hoping this is the fabled online, basically MMO / but also with massive single player campaign that we've always wanted from Pokemon since like the N64.
Yes.
So that's encouraging. This was actually announced during a segment where they were showing off more of Pokken Tournament EX or whatever the DX version is called.
Which is that's a franchise that continues to baffle me since it came out.
But the next one we got basically nothing for, but I'm still happy it exists.
I'm happy it exists, but it's also like I don't know if you're familiar with the wrestling term of cheap heat, where you can just get the crowd going insane by doing something really easy. This was the definitive example.
It's super hard to get excited at this point, honestly. Like, confirmation will be enough for some, but I was even just a little trailer, something. I don't know.
Any hints of where the story's going? Any hints of like, is it still before Super Metroid?
To be honest,
are we
anything would have been good.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but hey, and sorry, we didn't actually say it. It's the announcement of Metroid Prime 4, which is, Metroid Prime 1 being like, maybe the second best Metroid game next to Super Metroid. That's really good news. So, but yeah, and then we spoke about this already briefly, but there was a bit of Yoshi as well. So it's at the moment it's actually just called Yoshi.
Yeah, which I had a bit of mixed feelings about that, because it is sort of like playing.
We don't know what to call this one.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of playing into that whole pop. That's kind of become a bit of a thing in the games industry in the last sort of couple of years. Things like Prey and the sequel that has the same title as the original.
Yep, no, I hate it. I can't stand it. I gave Doom a pass, but other than that, I hate it. But I will say about this that it looks absolutely adorable. Susan will absolutely love this. And they're going with a sort of like mix between, Yoshi, Yarn Yoshi, and then they're kind of throwing a sort of cardboard diorama thing going on.
Which, I mean,
with
yeah, lots of kind of quite clever ideas. I mean, I'm definitely on board with it as much as I am with any Yoshi game, to be honest. Like, it's not my go-to franchise, but I definitely...
I'm a big fan of Yoshi's Island, and then after that, like, I like story, but it's not, like, on the same caliber as Yoshi's Island, and then after that, it kind of just drops off.
Yeah.
But the last one was actually pretty good. It was more of a return to form. Not that 3DS one. I'm talking about the one on the Wii U.
Woolly World.
Woolly World. There you go. That was a bit of a return to form.
Yeah.
Next thing is Breath of the Wild's DLC. Now this was big for me. I should have bolded this in the document. I loved Breath of the Wild. I mean, I had some minor criticisms, but overall, it's still one of the best games I've played in a while. And I can't wait for this DLC. There's 2 sets coming out. The first set, and they're both part of the expansion pass, which was $20. I got it on the US eShop. And the first DLC is a set of like master trials for the Master Sword. And I'd be getting into kind of like mechanics spoiling to explain what that does in terms of the game.
I wasn't terribly excited about the idea of the first DLC. It did definitely seem like something that they were putting out as a holding measure for to get ready for the second DLC. In the same way, it reminds me, what it's actually really strongly reminded me of was the first DLC for Bioshock Infinite.
It's a sort of gameplay focused one while you wait for the underwater one.
While you wait for the DLC that actually matters, not to be a dick.
That said, while I agree with you, generally speaking, I'm happy enough with this because it also includes a master mode, and I'm always the guy who says I love Zelda franchise, right? Okay, I could talk for hours about Zelda, but generally speaking, I find them too easy.
It probably should have been in the original game. In all fairness,
absolutely.
I'm a bit upset that it was held back as DLC, or they have actually just it's an afterthought. They're just adding it now. Both explanations annoy me. But no,
yes, the hero mode was typically added as an extra feature on re-releases of Zelda games. But it's now sort of being expected as standard. You're right. It was standard in Skyward Sword, and it was standard in A Link Between Worlds. So yes, it was kind of a shame that it wasn't in this, because after I was finished Breath of the Wild, I probably would have went through it all again if it just included that by default.
Yeah,
right.
But it didn't.
But then they can't. Then they can't sell it to you, and
then they can't sell it to you, obviously. But I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the Master Sword stuff. I'm looking forward to hero tracking feature. What was it, like the hero's path?
I was confused as to what that was. It's
basically a way of letting you know where you've been on the world map.
Oh, okay, right. Okay.
For the sake of completionism,
right?
But no, the other thing I was going to say, I'm excited about the new armors. It looks like they've got Majora's Mask in there.
Yeah,
it looks like they've got a Tingle outfit.
Why would you want? I thought everyone hated Tingle. I don't understand why you want a Tingle.
All right,
outfit.
Listen, Tingle is this giant joke. Okay, like the joke is, yes, we all hate Tingle, but we all love him as well.
I found it quite strange they were adding a collectible finder in a game that's been out for months at this point. One of the masks leads you to the Koroks, so it's like, okay, it's a strange addition, but nevertheless, all right.
Maybe it's to let people who haven't found all the collectibles yet.
No, it's especially strange actually, like with the Koroks, because there are 400 or so more than you need to max what you use those for. So it's like especially strange. You don't need those other.
Yeah, I know, but you know that there are people who are screaming out about.
Oh, of course. Well, obviously, someone did do it, and it became a headline because you do get given an item for doing it, but it's a joke item.
Oh.
But yeah, the second DLC pack, the Champion's Ballad, which is story related, and it will be related to some characters in the story who didn't get a lot of airtime. Looks really good as well.
So do we suspect that this was content that was cut from the game? Or do we suspect it is...
A little bit of me does, yeah. Yeah, a little bit of me does. Because, not to get too far into plot spoilers, but there's a lot of flashbacks in Breath of the Wild. and they seem like they made like scenes and areas for those flashbacks.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe there was more gameplay in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's coming in holiday, whereas the first DLC pack is coming the 30th of June, so that's pretty close. And they're also shipping with Champion Amiibo, which hopefully I can resist purchasing, but I might give in.
What's Scott? But Nintendo wants more of your money.
No, they can't have it. They've already got enough. Do you know what Fire Emblem Fates costs if you buy everything? No.
So I guess we should get to the last news item, the biggest news item.
Yeah, the killer one.
Super Mario Odyssey, which, if I'm not mistaken, is that not the first proper continuity Super Mario game since Galaxy? Or Galaxy 2?
So, 3D World could be argued, but it's the first one that's gone back to an open world. And now Galaxy had semi-open worlds. It was more stage-based than 64 and Sunshine. But there still were planets in Galaxy that had sort of more classical Mario 64 style open worlds. There was a planet with all the penguins who lived on a sort of like a ski resort together, and there were still hints of that in there. But 3D World went very explicitly stage-based.
Yes.
It looks totally like a sequel to Mario 64.
Yeah.
Which is basically what everybody wants.
I mean, I've read some interesting sort of nightmare fuel-y interpretations of what's actually going on with that game, because it does appear to be Mario possessing living creatures.
Yep. So he throws his hat out. He can possess cars. He can possess Goombas. He can possess dinosaurs.
Which you're like, those. I did actually. Sorry to just randomly shift subjects, but one of the things I noticed in the Twitch chat was, you know how you were talking about a Monster Hunters for the Switch.
Yes.
Everybody in the Twitch chat at the start of that trailer thought they were announcing a Monster Hunter for the Switch, and then the reveal of the Mario hat. The entire Twitch chat was just like, "God damn it!" Which I got a chuckle out of.
It could have still been Monster Hunter. They released that DLC for Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, which let you turn one of your cats into Mario. But the trailer looked insane. It was so full of nonsense and charm and interesting mechanics.
That music.
And nonsense and charm. And I'm super hyped for this. This will be the game that sells people Switches. Or at least I would have said that if they hadn't already had 100% attachment rate for Breath of the Wild and sold like 3 million Switches.
Yeah. I'll admit, I'm not a Nintendo guy, and even I was kind of pumped up by that trailer. Like,
yeah. It's just charm is the word. I know I've used it several times, but it was just so whimsy is the other word. Charm and whimsy. If you're listening to this, I implore you to go watch the trailer. It's so ridiculous. I was watching the live stream afterwards where they showed off some gameplay, and they also showed off a Mario wedding outfit amiibo, where he's dressed fully in white, and so is Bowser. But yeah, they showed off some gameplay afterwards, and there's like a level where Mario uses his hat to like possess like a unfortunate Mexican stereotype.
Yeah, that was. I did notice that was a little awkward.
So that he could learn to play like the maracas or something. But the bit where he did that was super fun, and like I was just like, oh yes, this is ridiculous. The whole thing looks ridiculous. So yeah, I'm stoked for that.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
I think everyone's pretty excited for that one.
And just to wrap up, in the post stream, we did actually get an announcement of a Metroid 2 remake called Metroid: Samus Returns, which, if you know anything about the Metroid 2 remake community, is hilarious. Last year we got our first full fan Metroid 2 remake, AM2R, and it was fantastic. It was like Nintendo quality. It was on the level of like Metroid Zero Mission if you played that. Yep. But then it got hit by a C&D almost immediately. Yeah,
which I think we can now sort of definitely point out that we know why that happened.
Yes, so this is pretty funny, and it's interesting. They've gone for a sort of 2.5D 3D art style for this one, whereas like AM2R was like hardcore pixel art. So this will be interesting. It's relatively soon on the 15th of September.
Okay, I think that's everything. So we're going to say goodbye from me. I'm Stuart Griffin.
I'm Cameron Bald.
And I'm Scott Cameron.
We'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.